To the Benchwarmers podcast. I am Casey Coggins here with Alvin Hebert.
We're here.
And Andrew Lira.
Hello, hello.
So we kind of let the NCAA tournament linger and fester before we started talking about it again after the madness that was the last 2 weeks.
Before we could admit where we were wrong.
See, no, we weren't wrong, all right? We have to spin it. The NCAA fucked us. That's what happened.
Our picks were a bit off.
Yes,
they everywhere.
I wish I had more faith.
We made picks for the alternate dimension, but not this dimension.
The one where Virginia won.
The one where aliens exist.
Where Virginia doesn't lose in the first round.
I'm not even going to start right now. I'll top it real quick.
But we do have our Final Four now. It is in San Antonio. I wish I had the money to actually go to some of these events.
I do. There's free ones.
Yeah. I also... April's dad gets in town, so we're going to be doing a bunch of other stuff. So it's just kind of a bad weekend for the Final Four. I wish they could, push it another week.
to maybe not Easter weekend.
Yeah. They had to bring Sister Jean down for Good Friday and Easter in San Antonio.
She's going to do a blessing at the San Fernando Cathedral.
But we do have the Cinderella Loyola Chicago team, number 11 seed, that I know me and Alvin were talking about how good they were at the beginning of the tournament.
I don't think they're that good still.
We both saw them beating Miami. I think Alvin had them winning the next round.
I had them going into the Sweet 16.
Yeah, so he had them going further than I did. But their first 3 wins were by a combined 4 points. And then they were a bad matchup for Kansas State. Kansas State didn't have an answer, and you could tell from the the opening minutes that the coach of Loyola Chicago was just all right, we're going to pound it in. We're going to get the big guy for Kansas State, Mayween, in foul trouble. And we play a similar 4-guard kind of small lineup. But Kansas State, their guards are all 6'4" and under. And Loyola has Marquise Towns, who's 6'6", and then Ingram, who's 6'8". So were bigger than Kansas State was and just overwhelmed them that game.
I also think Kansas State was riding high off of beating Kentucky?
Yeah. And that was a tough game. That was a really good game to watch. And then Michigan, who in one bracket I had in the national championship game, they continued their hot streak. Mo Wagner turned it on the last couple games. They had their last second shot to win a game, just like Loyola did, which helped propel them to this spot. They're also led by some seniors, some upperclassmen like Loyola is. Loyola starts, I believe, 3 seniors and 2 juniors.
Don't mind me. I waited for him to finish and I was like...
Beer break. In Michigan, just like Loyola, Muhammad Ali Abdul Rahman. His full name, he's a senior, I believe. I think Mo Wagner's a junior. They have Simpson, who their point guard is a freshman, but he's a really good point guard defender. And I think it's Charles Matthews is kind of their bucket getter at the stretch 4, small forward position. So I think this game is going to be a really good game. I mean, there's a possibility that Michigan just overwhelms them, because I do think Michigan is a much more talented team. They've been playing so great this last month that there is a possibility that you see what Michigan did to Texas A&M, they'll do to Loyola Chicago. Just threes raining from every angle.
How many threes was in that game? Like,
I think they hit 17 or something like
that
that.
was something ridiculous. Like, I think they set the record, right?
They were up 29 at half. And they just blew A&M out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean,
No
give
contest.
A&M credit. They did hold Michigan under 100 points. They had 99.
Golden State. I mean, that is a valid statement.
I mean,
Facts.
college basketball, if you're letting an opponent score 99 points, you're not going to win.
Unless you score 100.
You're not going to score.
Didn't think about that one.
I don't know the last time I saw a college basketball game where both teams got into 100 points. I'm pretty sure. Do y'all remember like the 6 overtime Syracuse game?
I don't even think that got into.
I think that was in the 80s.
Well, because that's Syracuse. It's defense.
Well, who they played? It was UConn.
I think it was UConn. Yeah,
That was boy from Charlotte. What's his name?
Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, I believe that's the first semifinal. And on the other side, you have the Blue Blood and a team that won the national championship 2 seasons ago. 2 number 1 seeds. Not as much parity on the other side. Villanova, Kansas. Just talent, NBA talent abound in that game. This actually is probably one of Bill Self's worst teams that he's had. And yet he's making the Final Four with it. Villanova, after their first game, I had picked Alabama to beat them in round 2, which, looking back at it, was just stupid. I thought Alabama's freshmen, Colin Sexton and can't think of the shooting guard's name, but I thought their freshmen and their athleticism would be able to at least like pressure Villanova, and Villanova just ran away with that game. And so after those first 2 games, I was like,
never trust Bama unless it's college football.
Like Villanova was just like
Coming from the guy who goes against Alabama in college football.
I was just talking
Hey,
about
he didn't say he doesn't trust them. No, he
Yeah.
just goes against them.
2 different things.
That's why they always let you down when they beat your ass.
Don't misconstrue my words.
So, man, Villanova, though, they have so many weapons. I was watching the West Virginia game because I had West Virginia in the national championship game in the bracket that I did with when we talked about the NCAA tournament. And I thought West Virginia played Villanova as well as they could. I think his name's Chris Spellman. His last name's Spellman. He's a power forward / center for Villanova. He's blocking shots. He's dunking on guys. He's hitting threes. Jalen Brunson was just backing down Javon Carter. And they're just so good at every position.
Wasn't Javon Carter the kid that you was saying look out for?
And he didn't have a good offensive game, and he's a smaller guard. So Jalen Brunson, I didn't realize is like 6'4", 6'5", and he's going to be a starting point guard in the NBA. And if at the very minimum, he's going to be a quality backup point guard. He's going to be a Corey Joseph, an Avery Bradley type kind of player. And he can shoot, he can handle the ball, he can defend. He's smart, and Villanova has played almost a perfect tournament so far. West Virginia muddied it up and got turnovers and kept the game close. But in the end, just watching that game, they didn't have an answer.
Yeah,
they didn't. They couldn't get over that hump. They had a lead 60-56 on Villanova, and then Villanova just flipped the switch and went on like an 11-0 run and got that win. Kansas kind of got lucky against Duke.
Grayson Allen didn't hit the shot.
If Grayson, if that goes into it, gets a different role, we're talking about Duke instead of Kansas. Because that ball looked good out of his hands, looked good on the rim, and then it just...
Off the backboard.
Toilet.
Back on the rim. It looked good the whole time until it didn't go in.
until it all just rolled out. But, give Kansas credit. They
give karma its credit.
They withstood the punch of Duke. And
that was one trip too many, Grayson. Sorry.
They did.
Here's your gift.
Coach, I actually think that loss kind of goes on Coach K because he's stuck with zone when Malik Newman was torching him. He was hitting everything in the last 5 minutes of regulation and in overtime. He was just getting open in the corners, and he was getting open on the wings and launching NBA range threes.
I don't think he's worried about it though, especially after looking at his roster for next season.
Yeah, I mean he definitely wants to win every year because that's going to be Marvin Bagley's last college game. That was Grayson Allen's last college game. They're going to have quite a bit of turnover
I don't think he's going to sweat
roster.
Grayson Allen leaving.
Right.
Hey, this dude...
You mean I don't have to answer questions about him?
Oh, I don't got to worry about somebody tripping somebody else's...
What do you think about Grayson Allen tripping people?
I don't know.
But he's tripping.
Think back. You have Grayson Allen, you have J.J. Redick, you have Christian Laettner, you have Shane Battier.
Grant Hill.
Well, Grant Hill wasn't hated. I'm talking about the people who were hated. Like, the college players...
Christian Laettner was only hated because Michigan hated them.
Everybody hated
They
him.
made a 30 for 30 called I Hate Christian Laettner.
Yeah.
that wasn't for everybody.
That was not just Michigan. Kentucky hated Christian Laettner. UNC hated Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner is probably...
I don't even know the guy, but I hate him.
He's one of the best college basketball players ever. He went to two... I think
right there with Jimmer.
Oh, way better than Jimmer. Way better than Jimmer.
Way better.
Sorry, Jimmer.
I mean, you look at the Duke teams that Christian Laettner was on. I think he went to 4 straight Final Fours. I want to say that Duke team went to 4 straight Final Fours and won 2 championships.
Can't even tell you.
Yeah.
Google. But they've always had a hated guy. I remember being like 10 years old watching J.J. Redick pull up from half court during a game because they were up 30. I was like, that guy's a douchebag.
We know why he hates Steph Curry.
That guy tells people that his dad's a lawyer.
Well, because J.J. Redick, do y'all remember what J.J. Redick looked like when he played for Duke?
Yeah, I remember. I used to see him watch him. Against them Tar Heels.
He gelled his hair into like spikes and went out onto the court and lit teams up for like 35 a night.
He was all, this is my Super Saiyan form.
But Grayson Allen, I don't think he's that good.
I don't think
he was. It's funny.
He doesn't have the talent to be hated.
Well, he won a championship his freshman year when he scored 24 points in the national championship game, and he propelled them. Not Jahlil Okafor, the future number 2 pick. Not Quinn Cook, who is now lighting it up for the Warriors. Like, Grayson Allen won that championship for them. And then he just progressively got less liked and worse as a player.
So the more he got hated on,
maybe if he hadn't tripped people, he'd still be liked. He'd just be a bad player that we like.
I think he's
just a bad player that no one likes now.
You're a good hustle.
After that freshman year, everybody had such high hopes for him. I mean, he was the number 3 player in his recruiting class.
And then he started tripping people, putting that foot out. And backing his ass up in the people.
But I don't know how we should get back on Kansas, I guess, and stop going down this Duke roller. We can talk about Duke and hating on Duke for days.
If you haven't listened to this podcast, we take detours, okay?
Yes.
Right.
We definitely take detours. Sorry, I'm trying to.
As he's Googling.
I just want to get this right. So
Trying to find another way to prove that Peyton Manning's good. The best. He's way better than Tom Brady.
So Leitner, he won his 2 national titles his junior and senior year. He lost in the national championship game his sophomore year, and he had a Final Four appearance his freshman year. So he went to 4 straight Final Fours in his 4 years. He went from losing to in the Final Four to losing in the national championship game to winning back-to-back titles. That was Christian Leitner's career. Granted,
those were the best 4 years of his life.
He had Bobby Hurley. He had Grant Hill. Hey, he played with the Timberwolves and was decent. He was on the Dream Team.
The Starberry and the Garnett.
He was the college kid on the Dream Team.
Yeah, so was Anthony Davis.
I felt sorry for him.
Different Dream Team.
I felt sorry for him on that Dream Team because it was like, just sit on the bench. We got this.
Yeah, they would go.
The big boys play.
So, back to Kansas after I finally found what I was looking for. Devontae Graham is that, senior point guard. And all 4 of these teams kind of have something in common in the fact that they have a good mix of like freshmen, sophomores, and then senior leadership. Kansas with Mikhailuk and Newman and Graham. They can put up points with Villanova. It'll come down to their big men and how their big men kind of hold up against Villanova, I think. But I
don't see it happening.
I don't see Villanova losing.
Yeah.
They're too good. Jay Wright's too good of a coach. Bill Self can implode at times, and his teams can kind of shrink. Yep. Yeah. So, both of these games, there's not an outcome that will surprise me. If Loyola won by 50 against Michigan, that really wouldn't surprise me. Maybe the 50 points, but I think both of these games and all 4 of these teams, they are here for a reason. They've been playing such good basketball, good team basketball, and they have good coaching, good talent. But again, I don't see anybody beating Villanova. I don't. Where do y'all stand on these games?
Yeah, Nova winning was gonna be my prophecy pick, but I felt like that would be too easy.
I didn't want to put any college basketball on like the fire or die or prophecy lines, just because I knew we were going to talk mostly college basketball. So.
Yeah, it just seemed too easy to put it on there. So I
don't know. I think Loyola and Michigan, the first to I'll say 68 or 70 points, wins that game.
If either of them get to 70.
No, it's like first to 60 maybe.
Well, Loyola, I don't think Loyola scored 70 yet. They won their first 2 games 64-63.
I think they had one 70-point game, or was it 68?
They might have just got 70. Right. I think they scored 72 against Kansas State. But that was a game that got out of hand for Kansas State. And I don't see... Michigan has one of the best defenses in college basketball.
Well, yeah, because, Michigan and Loyola, their games has been... in that 60 point margin. So
I would probably even say, I would cut that down and probably say the first one to 60 wins that game.
I'll say 60 or 65 points wins the game.
Yeah, so it's been 64-62, 63-62, 69-68, and 78-62 was their last game.
Yeah, so Michigan had that aberration game where they got 99.
Yeah, where they just couldn't miss.
Yeah.
Texas A&M didn't have any kind of response for Michigan's onslaught. So yeah, it seems the Loyola Michigan game to me is more of a toss-up.
I think that's going to be like the most like game everybody wants to see. I think the Nova and Kansas game, I think that's a wash. I think Nova like will dominate Kansas.
Yeah. Again, as you're wearing a Kansas jersey.
Paul Pierce, the truth.
I think Villanova's probably winning this game by 15. I haven't really seen much from Michael Bridges, who's supposed to be kind of right on the cusp of a lottery pick. It's been mostly Jalen Brunson and Spellman these last couple games. I think Michael Bridges had the great game against Alabama, but I didn't get to watch that game. And so I'm kind of hoping to see a Michael Bridges performance, because I think he's the player that I don't know if Kansas will have an answer for, because Devontae Graham
I don't see them having an answer for Spellman.
Yeah, both of those guys, Spellman and Bridges, they kind of do the same thing. Spellman's a little bigger and he's more of a banger than Bridges can be, but they're that 6'8", like small forward position. That is Mikhailuk going to be able to handle Bridges, or is he going to be mostly on DiVincenzo? Villanova's just going to come at them and keep coming, and at different angles, and different players are going to get going, and I don't see any three of these teams having an answer for Villanova. They're on that kind of roll. So I think we all have Villanova, and of this Final Four, kind of walking out of San Antonio with another trophy. And this trophy's probably not going to be on the heels of a last-second three-pointer to beat somebody.
It'll be very easy.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the greatest shots in college basketball history.
Don't remind me.
I'm just trying to get North Carolina into this conversation because they choked. They choked. I mean, a lot of teams did. Arizona choked. Virginia choked.
Cincinnati choked.
Cincinnati. Oh. If it wasn't for Virginia,
Gotta throw that one in there.
If it wasn't for Virginia, Cincinnati had the worst choke job of this. I just won't get over that 22 point lead that they lost to Nevada. They were in control of the entire game, and then they took the foot off the gas pedal and they backed off.
Not
and
the entire game.
They started
Not
running
the part that counted.
They started running like a four corners offense with 8 minutes left. What? And so it got me thinking. All right, well, college basketball has a 30-second shot clock. If they held the ball for 30 seconds and had a shot clock violation each 30 seconds, that limits Nevada to 8 possessions for the 8 minutes, being up 20 or whatever it was.
22.
They have to hit a 3-pointer on every single possession to win that game.
Well, they lost in a different way, but yeah.
But yeah, they could have literally just crossed half court.
That's all you had to do.
Passed the ball and held the ball for every possession and got a shot clock violation. They didn't need to score another point.
They could have done that.
I mean, granted, Nevada could have come down, shot in 5 seconds, made a 3, but they could have just, again, held the ball for 30 seconds and played good defense, solid defense, but they choked something hardcore. I was looking at the brackets, and I'm seeing Arizona fall, and I'm seeing Virginia fall, and I'm seeing all these other seeds fall, and upsets happening, and I was just setting up so pretty for me to be right on this Cincinnati pick. They were up 22, and I'm like, God, they're playing so good.
He's just like, I'm fucking king of the world!
This is my bracket.
Next thing you know, you got Grayson Allen.
And then
Tripped up.
I'm tripping.
And then the rest is history.
damn.
Out of it, just like Messi.
So I'm happy the Final Four is back in San Antonio. I brought it up the last time we recorded that it's been 20 years since it was last here. The Alamo Dome and the area surrounding the Alamo Dome is going to be rocking all weekend.
We got that new convention center now. We'll be popping.
I'm hoping I might be able
Well,
to
is
get
it
out to
rodeo
something.
around the corner also?
Rodeo just
Rodeo.
passed.
Or
It was
Fiesta?
a
Fiesta.
Yeah, Fiesta.
Rodeo's in February.
Okay.
Rodeo road trip.
I don't go to
Spurs.
these events, I'm sorry.
Rodeo road trip for the Spurs.
Oh,
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing one of the free events this weekend. If y'all got any free time.
We'll see.
Down at the
I mean,
convention
I'm sure April's dad's gonna want to do something because, I mean, I don't know when the last time would have been he was around the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to watch these games, and let's get on to some NBA basketball. We have the playoffs a couple weeks away. Last 10 games, I think, for every team. I think it might even be less than that. And the Spurs went 6-0 on their 6-game homestand, playing Washington right now, down 12.
Hit that prophecy.
Bingo.
The Spurs have been such a bad road team for whatever reason this season. They're like 14-23 on the road.
Well, I mean, you're missing your best player.
No,
Come here. Let me talk.
They have they have LaMarcus Aldridge. He's there still.
If only he was the best player.
Oh.
He's the best player this year
Yo,
because
that last game he carried. the Spurs,
He's carried-
If you look at the roster and you break it down, he could be at number 2.
he could be, but some dude can't get over his mental block or whatever's going on with it.
Hey, man, it happens.
Hey, you already know how I feel about LaMarcus Aldridge.
I mean,
I give it to him that last performance.
Even when Kawhi was back for those 9 games, he wasn't the best player.
Because he was only in for like 10 minutes.
he wasn't feeling right.
I mean, right now, Kawhi is the 15th worst player or 15th best player on the Spurs roster because he's can't play.
But talent-wise, he's the best player on that roster.
That they could have, yes, but
He is the MVP of the team.
He is not this year.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
This year?
Yes, he's still more valuable than Kawhi. I mean, than LaMarcus.
No.
If you put value up side by side, if you put their value up, like say if you were to shop them, be like, hey, what can I get for Kawhi? What can I get for LaMarcus?
Well,
you'll get a lot more for Kawhi than LaMarcus.
That goes into a completely different set of things.
That's value.
Because LaMarcus is 32 years old.
Hey.
And he plays a position that not every team needs.
Hey, I'm going strictly on value.
We know LaMarcus want to be the guy, though.
Yeah.
We know that.
We do know that. We don't know what Kawhi wants because Kawhi doesn't even want to play basketball right now, apparently.
He didn't even want to talk to anybody in the meeting. He's like, yeah, I'm okay.
Well, he got a second opinion and they said he's not ready. They haven't cleared him to play. He's just trying to.
Doctors?
He's cheat. Yeah, he's got his own doctors. They haven't cleared him, so they're waiting for that. Even the Spurs are like, all right, cool. You want to wait for that? We'll wait.
I thought they had said that he didn't have no structural damage or anything. I thought he was good.
No, it's no structural damage, but everyone they don't want to fall for a misdiagnosis.
True.
I mean, look at Isaiah Thomas.
I mean, unless you're Tony Parker, just like mine was 100 times worse.
Man,
Stupid.
that was.
How do y'all feel about that? Him saying that.
He didn't need to.
I mean, Jason Terry came out and was like, he started bashing Tony Parker, and a lot of Spurs fans are like, man, fuck Jason Terry. And I was like, Jason Terry's right. Like, completely, absolutely. I mean, he shouldn't bash, use the same, words that he used. He should have said it in a nicer, more respectful manner.
That's what Steven Jackson said.
But honestly, the injury Tony had is worse.
Yeah, but he also had the surgery to fix it right away.
But that's the thing is, one, he had the surgery to fix it right away. And two, his body obviously recovered differently.
Yeah.
Like Kawhi's isn't recovering the way he wants it to recover. And
the way that Kawhi was recovering was the way he hurt it was by working out. They say that the way to get over it was to stop, relax. Since when does Kawhi ever relax?
He looks real relaxed every time. You see his
He
face?
looks relaxed, but you don't see him in the gym. You don't see him.
What you're saying right now is the reason why, to me, none of this makes sense, because I haven't heard any of that from anybody on ESPN, on Fox Sports, on ESPN San Antonio. None of that has actually been said in a media saying that his injury he just needs to be off of it. He just needs to relax. That's not in the media. That's not said to anybody.
I will show you off air. I will show it to you.
Off air.
Yeah. Well, because I'm not gonna dig it up, but yeah.
You're not gonna go to Google.
Because I haven't.
No.
Oh, okay.
I just gotta go back in my podcasts.
Yeah, because I haven't heard any of that. And if that was the actual way it should have been recovered, then why wasn't that the way that it was being rehabbed at the beginning? If they know that that's the way it needs to be rehabbed, why aren't they doing that at the beginning? That's why this whole thing doesn't make sense, because on one end you're people were saying one thing, on another end people were saying another thing.
Yeah.
One side saying this, another side saying this, and it's all just back and forth, and nothing seen. It's all.
But at the same time, everybody's saying that they haven't seen anything.
Everything is like it's all contradicting reports throughout the season.
Yeah, because nobody can really. Everyone's afraid of misdiagnosing, so nobody wants to say oh, this is exactly what this is. Well, there is no structural damage
because going to the Tony Parker thing, he had surgery right away, At some point this season, they probably should have been hey, Kawhi, you need to have surgery, or you're going to sit out the rest of the season, or because there should have been something done in January after those 9 games.
Well, that's why they had the player meeting too, so they could get from him straight up what's the deal?
Yeah, and I don't necessarily fully trust that the Woj report and the fact that they were trying to implore him to come back. I think it was probably misworded at some point, because a player meeting of the Spurs and Tony Parker and Ginobili and these guys are hey, are you going to come back? We want to know. Something like that, of that magnitude, not hey, you need to come back right now. Come on, we need you.
Yeah, they're not begging him man, we need you out here and all that. I mean, sure, they would love to have him there, but they're
I think
Manu Ginobili, he was he's not coming back. I'm we're sticking with that. We can't stay worrying if he's coming back or not. It's not going to be good for us.
Yeah.
And ever since that, they went on a 6-game win streak. And I mean, they just.
But I feel that
balling, so.
I feel for the most part that is just Manu himself.
I think Manu's fed up.
I think it's Manu and Tony
and Pop, because that's why Pop said, if I'm just being honest, I don't see him playing this season, and so he just started worrying about the team that he had. And
I said a while back that I think in Pop's head, he had a date where if you're not back at this date saying that you're ready, I'm not putting you in for the playoffs.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
I mean, I'm to the point where this offseason trade Kawhi.
Really?
I'm all for trade him to LA and try to get Brandon Ingram and Kyle Kuzma. 2 younger guys who do similar things. They're not the defender that Kawhi is, but the Spurs operate on a team defense, and if they can stay on the string and they can communicate, they can learn team defense.
I mean, look at LaMarcus playing defense.
Brandon Ingram.
Where?
Brandon Ingram,
right now.
Ingram is still, that Kevin Durant kind of 2.0 mold. He's not necessarily the pure shooter that Kevin Durant is, but look at what he's doing with the Lakers this season. Look at what Kyle Kuzma's been doing.
If we want to go trade theories, if you want to trade him to the Lakers, why not trade him for Brook Lopez and Kuzma or Ingram?
You don't need Brook Lopez.
Yeah, you do. You don't have no bigs.
Kyle Kuzma can play 4. He plays 4 for the
No, I mean a
Lakers.
big. I mean, you need a 5. You need somebody to clog up the lane.
Not necessarily in today's game. I mean, you need somebody better than Joffrey Laverne to have
Yeah,
to be
exactly
a
what I'm
backup.
saying.
But
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma is better than Joffrey Laverne, and Kyle Kuzma's 6'10".
But that's what I'm saying. You could get both. Like, I would say get a big and either Ingram and Kuzma.
But I find it'll probably be easy if they go down that route of trading Kawhi, which I don't see them like. If I'm saying what I think the Spurs do, they're not trading Kawhi. They're
Well,
getting
he also
the
said
Supermax.
he's a Spur for life.
He's gonna
Yeah.
get the super max. Everyone's gonna get it washed
But as
over, and everything's
as
gonna be
a-
fine next
yeah,
season.
as a-
Money talk.
As a
People
Spurs,
are just overreacting right now.
As a Spurs fan, it's kind of it's frustrating to watch a guy, one, not even come out and speak to the media and like explain things, like what Markelle Fultz did last night after he returned, and they asked him about his shoulder. He didn't say, "Oh, it's feeling fine" or anything. He didn't give them some bullshit media answer. He hit him with the silent treatment. Like, he just ignored it, and that's what we're getting from Kawhi. We don't get any word out of his camp. We don't get word out of him. The words out of his camp end up coming from Jalen Rose and Stephen A. Smith's mouth, saying he wants out of San Antonio.
Because apparently they got deep connections with his uncle or something, I guess.
Man, Kawhi don't even have deep connections with his uncle.
So that's why it gets so frustrating, because I grew up in San Antonio as a Spurs fan, and yes, I've been spoiled by the fact that we had David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Like, those two guys helped create the culture that we have in San Antonio as Spurs fans and as a Spurs team. The star player is doing what they can for the team, and it'd be one thing if Pop was to come out and say we're sitting him for the season, because that's what he did with Tim Duncan 16 years ago. 17 years ago, however long it was. They said we're sitting Tim Duncan. He's not playing the rest of the season. He's out for the season. But here, it's like, one, I think Pop knows that if he was to say that, it would ruffle feathers in the Kawhi camp, and he doesn't want to do that. But it puts your entire team in this place of uncertainty, which goes to the Ginobili quote. Like, they can't be uncertain about anything. You don't win a championship with disgruntled players in the locker room with this unhappiness.
Ask Kobe and Shaq.
the year that it all blew up was 2004, and they got to the finals.
Against Detroit, though.
And it just all came to a head. I mean, Karl Malone got hurt, which didn't help, but
we're not worried about it.
But they weren't beating that Pistons team that year.
No.
So it's just, I will always hold the feeling of you can't win a championship with a disgruntled player. It's like a disgruntled star player. If you have a disgruntled role player, you get rid of them. It's pretty easy to just cut a guy and say, all right, well, we'll find somebody else to do this role. But for a star player, it's hard to win a championship. I think that's one of the reasons why you saw Cleveland cut ties with Isaiah in the middle of the season, because they had unhappiness in the locker room, and that's something you can't win with. So they cut
openly criticizing the whole fucking team while you're a part of it.
Yeah,
what do you think about the team? Man, they're fucking trash. You know that you're on the team, right?
This is not how we
they're
played.
fucking trash.
This is not how we played in Boston.
That's like the whole Rondo My Vets. his little quote.
So that's just, I've gotten to the point where it's like, all right, I want to hear Pop come out and say he's done for the season. He's not playing the rest of the year. Like, it feels like I'm tired of waking up every morning and turning on ESPN San Antonio or turning on NBA The Jump and all the ESPN NBA stuff and hearing waiting for a Kawhi answer. Like, I just want a Kawhi answer.
I don't know, man.
The players didn't get one. We're not going to get one.
Yeah, so that's just it's frustrating to just sit and watch this a player who at his full potential is your best player and one of the top 5 in the league just kind of sitting on the bench and like it's like, hey, look at this awesome toy that we got you, but
it's like getting a Ferrari and the transmission's out.
Can't drive.
Yeah. Not even the transmission's out. Like the spark plugs. Like one of the spark plugs needs to be changed.
It won't. All right.
Like something super basic.
I'm pressing push. I'm pressing it.
Your key broke in the ignition.
No, you lost the keys.
That's just the Spurs season has been this Spurs season has been the toughest, I think, in my really 20 years of closely following the team. Everything, all the rest of this, every other season, there's been issues and losing streaks and injuries and all that, but you still have some kind of answers this season.
I think people are just blowing it out of proportion and just over.
It's because Spurs fans want Kawhi to be Tim Duncan.
Because really, if you look at the season, the off-season moves that y'all did, like by getting Rudy Gay and bringing back Gasol,
a healthy Kawhi is
like they was trying to put pieces together to be like, we know we could contend with Golden State with the players that we had last year, but let's make minor adjustments and then try to see if we can compete with them again this year. And then all that just went down.
A healthy Kawhi, and I mean not even just a healthy Kawhi, just a healthy team in general for the entirety of the season. Bad pass by Bradley Beal in the fourth row. But like all the injuries the Spurs have sustained throughout the year, a fully healthy team is an easy 3 seed. Like, and probably competing with Houston and Golden State for the 1 and 2 seed.
And
we don't have.
Now you got the Blazers in the 3rd, just quietly sitting there.
That wasn't quiet at all.
Yeah, that was not quiet one bit.
That was a ruckus.
Yo, what up, Patty Mills? What
He got fouled.
I thought he was imitating Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I thought so too. But that I think with that we should wrap up our Spurs talk because I'm getting angry just talking about Kawhi.
Got my blood pressure spiking.
You got Manu.
So let's get on to our On Fire, and Dyer, and Prophecies.
What was that release? Did you see that? Just
That Sean Marion release from.
yeah, that was ugly. Man, at least it went in.
Was it Bertans?
Yeah.
At least he made sure it banked it in.
So for On Fire, we just brought them up. I'll go first. Portland Trailblazers, and I have them as on fire, not just because this past week they lost 2 games. They lost to Boston and they lost to Houston, but we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. So for the entirety that we haven't since our last recording, Portland is on fire. They Damian Lillard has pushed his way up the MVP conversation. Unfortunately, James Harden.
It's a no-brainer right now.
Yeah,
I don't know about right now.
No, the Houston Portland game when James Harden just went off against Portland, that won him the MVP. That game right there, it's done.
You think so? Even with LeBron's triple-double average?
It's James Harden, and then
the roller coaster of Cleveland's season hurts LeBron's case.
Except for the fact that he's been still putting up his numbers. He's having one of his best years, and he hasn't missed a game.
Yes. But James Harden is doing it on the best team in the league, and he's definitely the catalyst. And it's not one of those years where it's like, oh, he's the best player on the best team kind of things. Like, yeah, he's the best player on the best team, but he's also putting up the best numbers.
He's the reason why the Rockets are good, this good right now. Like,
yeah, he's without James Harden, this Rockets team is probably out of the playoffs.
You think so?
Completely out of the
Even
playoffs.
with Capella and CP3?
they're just a fancier Clippers squad.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Clippers were in the fucking playoffs.
No, but not even. I wouldn't even say fancier because the Clippers squad had CP3 in his prime, healthy. This Houston team doesn't have a healthy CP3.
But they have more weapons.
Clint Capella is not nearly as good as DeAndre Jordan, and nobody on this Rockets team is close to Blake Griffin.
Ariza.
Ryan Anderson can shoot threes better than Blake Griffin, but that's all he can do better.
Definitely can't cry better than Blake Griffin.
I don't know. We have to put Ryan Anderson in a situation where he might cry.
We should make them fight each other.
You know Blake Griffin don't want to do that.
Fight for the light skin.
But the Rockets, without James Harden, probably aren't in the playoffs because this roster was built around James Harden's playmaking ability. So the reason they're this good is almost strictly based on how good Harden has been all season. He's been absolutely ridiculous this season, and they're actually playing decent defense.
Like, you got James Harden, and then you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
Yeah. I would be
They're way out there.
if we were going to put each player's, like, how close are you to the MVP, it'd be James Harden's at 100. He's there. You'd have LeBron, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard at, like, 35. Like, that's how far away they are from James Harden right now. And it's really not detracting from how great their seasons have been because they have been extremely good.
Yeah, carrying their teams.
But this James Harden Rockets team is putting up numbers that the unanimous MVP for Steph put up. I don't think that should have been a unanimous MVP, but Steph definitely deserved that MVP. And James Harden deserves this one. Arguably deserved last year's too. But it's in the bag for James as the Spurs go into the fourth down by 22 to Washington. This has not been a good game for the Spurs.
It started out good.
Yeah, and then...
So we've got James Harden averaging 30.7, 5, and 8. You know, LeBron James averaging 27.5, 8.6, and 9.1.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that.
All right.
I don't see it. You made it seem like it's that much of a difference. I would say
you also know that Russell Westbrook needs, I believe, 115 more rebounds to average a triple double again.
Well, he goes hunting for them, and his team just openly puts his hands down.
We're not even putting him into this MVP conversation, but so the mere points, rebounds, assist numbers don't necessarily do it justice anymore. You can't merely look off of that. Right now, you have James Harden at a 30.13 player efficiency rating. You have Anthony Davis at 2 at 29.03.
Man, that ain't no real number.
And you have LeBron James at 3 at 28.89. So, again, he's behind James Harden on that. LeBron does have a higher true shooting percentage.
That's why he's MVP.
And a lower usage rating.
Double MVP.
He has higher estimated wins added.
Triple MVP.
So, again, not saying that LeBron has not had a great season, but he gets points like taken away from the type of year Cleveland has had.
I think he does because he deserves to get points taken away of what was going down the beginning and middle of the season, all the meltdowns and all that stuff.
That should be more reason why he wins it.
But I like what Chris Broussard said. It's like if MVP was a trophy that he give for the best player in the world, Michael Jordan would have had numerous MVPs. LeBron James would have numerous MVPs, but it doesn't go to the best player in the world.
Kobe Bryant would have more than one.
Yeah. Shaq would have more
Kobe
than
was
one.
never the best player in the league.
He was the best player in the league.
He wasn't even the best player on his team.
All right, well, Shaq,
yes.
he would have had more. And then
who was getting those MVPs those years?
Tim Duncan got Steve Nash one.
Steve Nash was D'Antoni.
Dirk got one. Kevin Garnett got one.
Garnett, yes. Dirk, I don't.
Like you can even go when Jordan was playing when Karl Malone won and Charles Barkley won MVPs.
Did Iverson get a regular season MVP? I think he got one in 2000.
He got one.
So you had.
Yeah, he was damn sure the best player on that Phillies. Philly team.
You had AI in 2000.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, there's nothing taken away from AI.
I think it was AI in 2000, Shaq in 2001, Tim Duncan 02-03, Dirk 04. Maybe not Dirk. Kevin Garnett, I think, was 04. Then you had Nash 05, 06, and then Kevin Garnett or Dirk, one of those two, and then Kobe got his in 08, which I have I have the same kind of argument about that year's MVP for Kobe. Because Kobe got that MVP based off of legacy, not because he was the best player. Because Chris Paul deserved that MVP that year.
Chris Paul don't deserve shit.
So now I guess we should move on to another fire. Alvin,
I forgot what we're talking about. We're on fires already.
That was fuego. My fire. It's the Rams. I mean, if you want to give an off-season champion award, it'll go to the Rams. Marcus Peters, Aqib Talib, and then they signed a 1-year deal with Sue, which is good on both sides. Because if Sue doesn't end up panning out, he ends up being that reckless guy that's stomping on quarterbacks and stuff like that and talking all kinds of trash, they could just cut him. Like, whatever, $14 million, take it, go. But if he pans out, it's like you got the best defensive line.
They're not going to cut him for doing it. They're expecting him to do it.
But also think about.
I'm sure that's in the contract.
No. So, and Ndamukong Suh signed a 1-year deal. Guess who also has a deal that's up after this season?
Donald.
And so it allows them to sign Sue, have him this year. He's gone from the Rams after this season so that they can sign Donald again. So it allowed them to spend whatever cap room that they had, get him in, have this dominant defensive line, and then have him, he gets to prove himself to get another big contract from a team. Because he wasn't really getting any offers other than, I guess, the Jets gave him a big offer, but he didn't want to go to the Jets.
He didn't want to go to another team like the Dolphins.
Yeah, you want to fucking be seen.
Yeah, so he turned down a bigger offer from the Jets. So now if he stays healthy, doesn't have a stupid incident, you can see him signing another 3-year, $40 million deal with a team like maybe the Cowboys, who have been needing help on their defensive line. Or
Cowboys need to sign Honey Badger for sure.
That's what I've been. No, Honey Badger went to the Texans.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd miss that one. Damn.
He signed
I think it was a 1-year deal,
$7 million deal.
Damn. So they're gonna sign both of them next season.
They could. As a Cowboys fan, we hope.
But yeah, so that
would be nice.
All the defensive additions to the highest scoring offense in the league this last season.
Yeah, and they're already looking to shore up their offensive line.
Seattle is out there just
they're drowning
and fire selling everybody.
Yeah,
your defense was the best part of your team, and now you have none.
The Cardinals have. I mean, they let go of Tyrann Mathieu, who was really good for them while he was healthy. Carson Palmer retired. Adrian Peterson got released. I mean, they get David Johnson back healthy. So, like, the Cardinals, I think, are a wild card in that division. And then, San Francisco's really their biggest competition, like, right now on paper in that division. So, I see the Rams at this moment in time, at this juncture, easily running away with that division.
They're just giving Wade Phillips toys to like play with. Like, here, Wade, early Christmas. You got Marcus Peters. You got Talib that you coached with in Denver when y'all won the championship, and then now we got you, Sue. You got Donald still.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. They're gonna be so good. They're gonna like the NFC. I mean, really, just kind of thinking about it, football in general is just loaded. There's some bad teams like sprinkled in. You have, Cleveland still, which I think they're riding the ship.
The Jets,
but like my team, Detroit. Like, they haven't made the playoffs, but they showed improvement defensively. They still have Stafford slinging the ball.
How much is that arm is worth?
Gold. It's worth gold. You know how long it took for the Cowboys to find a franchise quarterback?
We had one in Tony Romo.
But before that,
we had one in Troy Aikman.
Yeah, you know how long that was in between Aikman and Romo?
Man, we had with Drew Bledsoe.
Okay.
That's right. Come on, keep it going. Come on.
The Cowboys.
I got answers.
The Cowboys' best season between Tony Romo and Troy Aikman was 10-6 with Quincy Carter at quarterback.
Quincy Carter, another one.
Not a franchise quarterback.
Better than 8-8. Jason Garrett.
Even as a. No. I don't want to get on Garrett.
But
that's a change that needs to be made right there.
There's so many teams looking for a quarterback that's why the Jets traded up to 3 to try to get Josh Rosen or Sam Darnold if one of those happens.
Which will be a mistake.
I think Josh Rosen in New York fits, but I'm never a trade up to get a quarterback guy. Your best, like a lot of your best quarterbacks in the league, are lower picks.
Just go sign Colin Kaepernick already, or Johnny Manziel. He put out a video of him throwing the ball around.
I forgot who.
He's not making videos, man. He's actually throwing for people. People are looking at him.
I forgot who I was listening to. I want to say it was Will Kane, and he pulled up. It was Will Kane because he was talking about this Jets trade, and he pulled up the numbers about how many quarterbacks have gone in the first round in the last 20 years or whatever, and there's been 60, 30 of which have been complete busts.
Oh yeah.
So you're batting 50%, 5 of which made an all-pro team or a Pro Bowl. Like you're looking at guys in the first round that they just don't pan out. Like
that's why I don't see all the hype around like picking a quarterback in the first round.
That's why the Cowboys love picking linemen.
That's exactly how you build.
Look at that line now, though.
Build your line through the draft, and like get the high picks, get your Quentin Nelson and stuff, and then get a quarterback in the third, fourth round. Because these guys can throw the ball. It's not like they're the third round guy. It's not like if Lamar Jackson fell into the second round. It's not like he can't throw the ball. He might not be able to throw the ball the same way Josh Allen can. Because I don't know if y'all saw any of the video of his pro day in Wyoming. But the dude looked like he was throwing a 5-yard slant. And he threw the ball like 70 yards. Like, just easy. It just can't.
I did see that.
He looked like he just flicked his wrist and that ball just flew.
Yeah, it was in the air for all day. I was like, Jesus Christ, fucking lost
so
it,
like
nothing.
I mean, yeah, you have the guys who have Jamarcus Russell, like he could throw the ball 80 yards from a sitting position, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a good quarterback because he didn't go to a good situation.
It was all that lean.
And now I guess we should move on to Andrew's fire because the Rams definitely were on fire this week.
We essentially went over my fire. My fire is NFL offseason. There's so much going on. They're getting a lot more attention than...
They just, the owners just voted to...
The catch rule.
But they also...
Odell Beckham.
Today they voted to change the
target
rule for targeting and to that I believe you can't lower your head at all when you go to hit somebody to try to reduce the number of helmet-to-helmet hits there are.
But with that, are they going to do the same thing for the running backs that put their head down?
I don't remember.
Because, I mean, they got to go both ways. And, I mean, if they're teaching that day one at fucking Pop Warner, it's just... If someone's coming at you, get lower than them.
That's what I'm saying. It's natural reaction. It's like you can't... It sucks to be a defender.
That's... I mean, we have our thoughts on it. But yeah, my fire
goes to another... I mean, I don't know if y'all remember the podcast where I just kind of went off on, I think, Jeter, and y'all were like, Casey Savage moments. That's how we were going to do.
I think it was lukewarm.
Well, that was the whole football and the head injuries and concussions. That's one of them that I can go on a very deep rant about how
Casey's savage moments.
Yeah. And now you know.
Should we turn the mic for you?
I'll just lean into it. So, this is my savage moment. But they're trying to limit the helmet to helmets, and this NFL all season, it's almost like the NFL has they've taken a back seat to the NBA for the off-season stuff, and they're like, hey, the NBA gets a lot of attention for all the off-season transactions and moves. And
they ruin our season with their news. Let's fucking get them back.
So, contracts and teams and players are just flying around. I don't even, I'm gonna get on Madden or watch a preseason, regular season game week 1, and I'm like, when the fuck did this guy become a Viking?
Why is Odell Beckham on the Browns?
Your Madden team roster is going constantly updating throughout the week.
It's gonna get the programmers just, fuck, we give up. This is gonna be your roster, alright? We're not gonna change this shit anymore.
Just unplug it.
Not
power down
anymore.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Anton.
You're gonna be playing a game, and you're gonna throw the ball to a receiver, and the receiver is going to change names in the middle of the round. Follow up your NFL offseason with in Dyer, Andrew.
Well, I've been talking about him a lot, but I got Odell Beckham as my Dyer. A lot of rumors going around that don't involve his sexuality, so I mean, this is crazy. Where's he gonna be next year?
I thought the video with the French model was the answer to this.
Man, that's as much of a sham as marrying a Canadian woman.
With some white powder on the bed, 5 feet away from him.
He's trying to divert the attention from that.
That's just baby powder.
Yeah. He's setting himself up. Come on, man. Baking soda.
I don't know what's going to happen if he ever gets his act together, because the dude's phenomenal on the field.
Yeah, he's an athlete. Yeah.
He was, the year before last when he played.
But imagine if he, rights the ship and becomes, that Calvin Johnson personality. Because Calvin Johnson really just never got in trouble, never did anything, worked hard, ran his routes.
Yeah, I don't see that from him.
No.
But I know, I don't see it either. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if that was to happen, how good Odell Beckham could be.
That's what the Giants wanted.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a bum ankle, but I'm going to do some dances in the locker room, though.
Yup.
Man, did y'all see Gronk? He had the bum ankle in the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl, and he's dancing at the club afterwards?
But,
that's because he took all them shots.
He was just at a party recently. I think it was on Highly Questionable with Dan Lebitard, where he, jumps on Shaq's shoulders and starts twerking.
The dance-off. Yeah, I saw that.
What is going on?
It's on that Molly.
That powder. It was there in the background. You didn't see it.
They were in the
club.
restroom. Alvin, you're in Dyer.
My Dyer NCAA brackets just got blown to poof. Like after the third day.
Not even
after the second day.
Yeah,
I was good 2 days in a row. Then all of a sudden I'm like,
the first
Virginia's losing. I'm just like, oh crap.
Yeah,
Loyola's beating everybody.
The first day, I think I lost 1. And then after the second day, I think I had lost 4. And then after the third day, I tore my bracket up. I believe, yeah, that's how it went.
I saw that there was like
in one day, 3 of my final 4 got eliminated. Michigan State lost to Syracuse. Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
UNC, they all lost on the same day within hours of each other. And I was just like, come on, West Virginia. And then West Virginia lost.
No.
Every time we
talk
talked
the beauty of the madness.
Every time we talked college basketball this year, that's how we discussed it, was just how there's so many.
This March Madness described how the season went.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Minus, the Villanova Kansas thing where 2 1-seeds got in it. That should have been some random 6 seed. Like Texas Tech should be there. Like if Texas Tech would have got there, I feel like that would have fully grasped this season's college basketball. But yeah, those brackets. What's crazy to me is in ESPN's bracket challenge, 9,760 brackets picked Loyola Chicago versus Michigan in the Final Four.
Well, people were just filling them out to fill them out.
And there were, there were people who actually had this Final Four in their bracket.
Man, and like we said in the previous podcast, we discussed our Final Four our Cinderella favorites. I named Loyola, but I did not have the faith in them to put them past the Sweet 16. Now I'm just kicking myself. I was like, damn it,
dummy. And so to get to my Dyer. I went just with New York football in general. Both Jets and Giants. They need to get their act together.
I thought they played in New Jersey.
The Jets, like I said, traded from 6 to 3. They fell out of the Ndamukong Suh race.
I still don't see why would you trade from 6 to 3
because there was a possibility of other teams jumping up into. Remember last year, Chicago traded up from 6 to 5 or whatever it was, from 3 to 2. They traded from 3 to 2 to get Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's that kind of thought is, oh well, shit. We need to get as high up as we can to make sure we get the guy that we want. And if it wasn't for quarterback play this last season for the Jets, on a couple games, they would have probably made the playoffs.
No, there was a couple games where they hit their stride where you're like, oh wow.
Yeah. I think it was Josh McCown that was starting for them for a while, and then he got hurt. And, but yeah, they had a couple games where the defense worked, the offense looked decent. So they're just trying to get that quarterback to propel them going forward. But I think they made a bad move in the trade. The Giants are all sorts of out of whack. The Giants are probably going to have another 4-12 year this next season.
Even with Odell back, or if he plays?
Even with Odell back.
If he steps foot on the field with his max contract, or with his highest paid NFL player contract.
All the turmoil, and I don't know if their defense is going to be the same.
They still got to fix that O-line.
They need to
They
fix
don't got
the
a running game.
They need to fix the O-line, and everybody's talking about them drafting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, no, draft a fucking offensive guard. Don't be stupid. Look at what the Cowboys did, all right? Look at what the Cowboys did. They were having issues getting to the playoffs, so they started drafting linemen. They started drafting Tyron Smith, and they drafted Travis Frederick, and they drafted Jonathan Martin, and now they have arguably the best offensive line in football because they just started drafting those guys as their top picks, and they went 12-4 with DeMarco Murray and Tony Romo. Then they had an injury-plagued season where they went 8-8, and then they went 13-3 with Dak and Zeke, and then they had an injury-plagued season where they went 8-8.
But they didn't go 8-8 that season.
I know they went like 6-10. They went worse.
4-12, I think.
Yeah, because they got the 4th pick.
Yeah,
and that's how they got Zeke. But yeah, they had a couple injury-plagued seasons and got them back up into the top end of the draft. So, New York football, you just need to figure it out. Now, I mean, you don't have to. I'm not saying I'm not like rooting for it.
We're not encouraging it, but
but you're in some dire straits there. And now let's finish off with the prophecies. Alvin, prophesize for us.
Didn't really have nothing else to like pick off, but it's going back from the beginning. It's Loyola versus Nova for the ship.
They're just saying Loyola's gonna win because we already said Nova's gonna win the championship. Unless you're gonna prophesize that Loyola's gonna beat them.
Yeah, put it on the books, Dano.
Yeah, sure.
Book it, Dano.
All right.
Loyola's winning the NCAA tournament.
Sister Jean celebrating fiesta and style in San Antonio.
Chicken on a stick.
Oyster bake.
Oh, man.
What else does Battle of Flowers? Flowers raining down.
What's that, Strawberry Fest?
That's in
That's
Poteet.
Poteet.
That's it. All right, see.
Outsiders.
Damn. Californians. Fucking ruining
Andrew, your prophecy.
My prophecy, I've got Detroit and Charlotte being eliminated from playoff contention.
Detroit and Charlotte.
Detroit basketball. Yeah,
it's going to end at the end of the season, so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got it being eliminated.
Yeah, it's funny how that Blake trade like started off so good, and then fizzle.
It still look good. I mean, they're getting attention. They wanted to put butts in the seats, and they did that.
That's definitely what they needed to do, especially with the new stadium. My prophecy, finishing this up. Baseball starts on Thursday. The New York Yankees in Game 1 are going to hit 6 home runs.
Jesus Christ. Whoa.
They're going to hit 6 home runs.
That's it?
That's it? It went from Jesus Christ to like, that's it?
I mean,
Jesus Christ, he's a low ball.
And Jesus Christ. Oh, wait, they have Giancarlo, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez. Fuck, yeah. That's it? But they play the Blue Jays. I don't know who the Blue Jays are throwing out there. It might be. I think it's going to be Stroman. And he's a fastball pitcher. And those balls are going to go far. But yeah, Yankees. I actually taking it further. I was going to say Aaron gets 2 and Giancarlo gets 2, so they both have multi-home run games in their first game together. But the Yankees, if you watch them in the playoffs, 6 home runs is easy power for them. Didi Gregorius and Gary Sanchez. I think Headley's back for them. They have power in so many positions this year that
it's ridiculous.
Six should probably be an easy number for them.
So it's going to be a mini home run derby
all season. Like, think about their stadium. Their stadium's built for home runs.
Giancarlo's going to be happy.
He doesn't have to try to hit a stupid, ugly statue in center field. And he can actually hit it for fans. People can actually enjoy it. So that wraps up this week. This has been the Benchwarmers podcast. As always, I'm Casey Coggins here with Alvin Hebert.
Check you later.
And Andrew Lara.
See ya.
We will see you next week.
We are fans of a different kind.